today. I know, right? First time we ever see that. As Mahat had just joined. Alright. Just gonna put into chat here. 1 second and then we'll get sorted. Alright, so hello to everybody on the on the sunset of a new season. Should be a dawn of a new season. Yeah, it's on a pretty dark night here in the UK. Pretty well, normal afternoon in Brands Hatch. But it is the first race of Season 3. The first race of Season 3 here in ALR Esports. It's a whole new season, a whole new set of 8 tracks, and a whole new hope for 8 teams here for Season 3. Some of them will be familiar faces. Some of them will be new entirely. Those teams that you may recognize prior have some familiar faces and some new faces of their own. We'll see how everything is going to play out here, starting at Brands Hatch. Turn 1 is going to be there. We're going to see a carnage unfold straight away. But new season brings a whole new set of ideas, a whole new set of ambitions. And let's see if what team is going to be able to capitalize on said ambitions this season here. So it's going to be split 4 teams in each lobby, and so I am currently commentating on lobby A up until I'm told otherwise, depending on whether or not Otto is in fact able to drive himself into lobby A at some point. If he is there tonight, then we will switch, but for now I'm the one that's going to be doing lobby A's comms for the rest of the night. You're stuck with me. I am alone today because Ross is doing lobby B himself. Shouldn't be too long before that goes live. But yeah, so the 4 teams in lobby A for qualifying, well, it's effectively going to be the 4 highest teams that finished last season that we still have in the league. Obviously, FGR Halex are no longer with us, so that leaves us with Arix, our reigning defending champions. They got bailed out by a penalty in the last season. They'll look to potentially win by a stronger margin than that. And then we've got Project Platypus as well. A lot of you may remember the first season of ALR Esports, which well and truly had an interesting fight between Arix and between Project Platypus. They had it going the entire season. Arix failed to capitalize on their opportunities, and Project Platypus in the end ran away with it. Will we see a repeat of that? Or will we see a completely different version? They've won 1 championship apiece. They're looking to add to it. Then we also have Aero GT, looking to build on the season that I guess they did what they managed to make their aims. They got into 5th place in a very strong field. They got there in the end, almost pipped by Pegasus, but not to be for Pegasus, even though they brought their stronger drivers out toward the end. They just left it too little too late. In a hope of hitting the ground running to see if they can as well. But Aero GT, on the other hand, a team with renewed ambitions, and very much an upgraded team. Let's see if they can upgrade their position from 5th, maybe into the top 3 by the time we hit week 6. And then on the other side, on the fourth team, we have Pegasus. And those who just watched our season preview stream will know that I put out a relatively bold prediction about Pegasus. So we'll see. They get their first opportunity to prove me wrong today. We'll see if they can do that with Richard, Chris, and Pumpkin Patch in their team in qualifying here. So there is 11 people in here so far. There's 12 in here. I'm one of them, so I don't count. Which means we are missing a singular Project Platypus driver. I think... Are we... is it? No, it's a Eric's driver. Sorry. Which should mean we are waiting on Peachy. So we'll just tag Peachy to make sure he is aware. And then we can get going hopefully on time today. They were the first one to... Yeah, it is Peachy. I was gonna... funny enough, I was about to tag him, Javi, saying... asking where he was. Yeah, actually gonna put that in here now. Yeah. I am very intrigued to see what is going to unfold in this season. Because common sense would say more of the same between Project Platypus and between Arix. But Arix have gone very varied in their cars. And, well, Project Platypus have hired a new driver that's supposed to be exceptionally good. We'll see if that goes... factors into anything by the end of the night. But for now, anyway. We've got a few people in this regretting the meme cards. Already? Already? We haven't even got to the first race. Oh, that's surprising. That's not good news. T4 is so good. I know that's not true. You're not gun mad. You can't convince me of it. That's Peachy. Looks like the M6 is so far clear. Oh, well. It is the M6. I'm not entirely sure what you expected here. The other ones would probably be like GTR and Lambo. Like, they would be the ones I would expect to be at the top here. I wouldn't expect anything different at all. This is not too dissimilar from Monday, so I'm not surprised at all that there are certain cars that are very much clear. And especially around Brands Hatch of all places, I wouldn't expect the meme cars to be exceptionally good. Brands Hatch is a very by the numbers track. And what I mean by that is that what you think is a good car around here is almost certainly a good car around here. Whereas in some tracks you might look at like the GTRs, as we said, is solid around most tracks, but not really a master of any. Would be really good around here, but it might not be good elsewhere. Like Catalunya, it's not particularly great. So it's just... I'm very surprised at some of the choices. I will say that much. M6, Lambo, GTR. They're clear for a reason. That's for certain. Lexus as fuel will probably be a good one to have as well. Probably the bigger outsider. The Alpha's got good tyres, but I don't really think it's got a good enough one-lap pace to realistically challenge anybody. Certainly not anyone in M6. But this lobby has some big names in it. I didn't expect Mahata and Tobias to show up. Yeah. Mahata's was a late one. Tobias has been there for a while. Yeah, Tobias has been there for a while. He's as expected. So it looks like everyone's set up. We're just going to go through. I'm going to make sure everything is good to go. Pumpkin Patch is asking us to go. So everyone is in their cards. See a different livery on the RX of this time. Not entirely sure if I like it more than I did the black and gold from last season. We're just going through. 10 minutes qualifying, 56, 2 times 2 times, fastest first, grid. Okay, looks like we're good. 10 minutes of qualifying. Let's put in a starting soon and get going. If it's going to show up, there it is. I'll give everyone an extra minute from this point and then we will get going on qualifying. And then, yeah, we will finally get to see which one of these heavyweights are going to put up a number. And what is that number going to be? We've been told in the pre-show that Richard's finally going to finally realize he probably should use downforce settings. So we'll see whether or not that's going to help him out this time. Might see a good time from him. You've got Kepler, Javi. They may not be in great cards. Well, Kepler is, but Javi may not be in a good card, but they always are good for a time. Mahata, Zico, Owen as well. They're usually good people that have a lot of pace. Beaver can be put into that conversation as well. So there is a lot that could, well, everything's going to change very, very quickly here. All right, let's go. Let's go. We're going time for qualifying. Let's see if we can get things underway here. I did not say that. Anyway, qualifying. But yeah, we're just starting qualifying now. Alright, let's see what's going on. Who are we going to follow? Javi with the first one out. Javi in an Aston Martin Vantage. So this is a car that got buffed by the update. It hasn't been good for a couple of seasons now, so we'll see whether or not the update has managed to bring it back. Let's see if Javi is going to be able to get the time out of it. You have Beaver and Owen, who look to be working together, one in the Lambo, one in the M6, which is not too surprising. Both should be fairly good around this track, to be honest with you. Lambo, there's not really a ton in terms of curbs to go over. There's probably this one and then the one in, well, about to follow it actually. These two corners here are pretty much your only curbs, full stop, that you have to touch in the race. So it shouldn't be too difficult for the Lambo to survive here. Oh, it's untouched, so it's low speed bot. Ah, okay. Yep, okay. No, you're right. You're right. I thought it was mid speed. I don't know why I thought Brands Hatch was mid speed. Must have missed that on the way in. But yeah, I always thought Brands Hatch was mid speed. I don't know why I thought it was low speed. Didn't think it was low speed. But yeah, then it'll be untouched, so Javi's screwed. Javi is definitely screwed then. Yeah. It used to be. Ah, okay, okay, so, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. It's probably where I'm getting the thinking from then. But yeah, it's one of those. Okay, so if it's untouched, then the Aston's probably not in a good place today. We'll wait to see if Javi can extract some time out of it. You've got Mahata, you've got Beaver, Owen as well. You've got names, a large amount of names here that you would expect to still be in Lobby A by the time we roll around to the actual race. Javi being the first one on the track, though, we'll see what the time is going to be that everyone's going to have to target for. Javi coming into the third sector now here at Brands Hatch. Well, at the end of the third sector now, into the fourth sector, as he's 1 minute one through the third. And to the final couple of corners. Didn't look too bad on the exit of the second to last. As we go round a sweeping left-hander now to, well, sweeping right-hander, sorry, to go to the end of the lap. And it is a 1:21.8. It's the first time on the board. Half a second back for Beaver. Mahata just clear. Less than a tenth clear of Javi on that lap. Pumpkin did a 23.3. Needs to figure out some times here. Not great from Richard Ivan. Zico is up in the third. Dan beats Richard by a tenth and a half. Perry just ahead of Dan. 22.9, 22.6 for Capello puts him fifth. It's not bad. We've got a couple of duos realistically forming. Mahata and Javi at the front. Zico and Beaver third and fourth. Then you got Capello and Perry. Well, Kepler kind of just in his own little world, and Perry and Dan. And then the following Pegasus guys. Then you got Peachy and Owen, who are yet to set a lap. We'll go back to Mahata. He's currently got the fastest lap. It is a 21.8. Pretty much flat 21.8 at this point in time. We'll see if he's improving here in the third sector. A little bit of grass there. Let's see if that's going to impact him. Same on the exit of the corner. He is a little bit slower on the lap at the moment. 24.0 for Peachy will put him at the back. At this point in time, Mahata's bailed on the lap. Javi's into the pits. Mahata bailed on his lap. Is he going now? He is going to continue going. Okay, Zico on the track. Beaver's now in the pits as well. Richard is just in front of Zico at this point in time. We'll get to see if there's benefits for both, but Zico is touching the gravel. Pumpkin in a 22.9, 22.4 for Richard. That's enough for fifth. Zico absolutely screwing himself on the final couple of corners there. He absolutely screwed his lap. Capello not diving into the pits. Perry and Dan both improved on their times, but again, still 7th and 8th for them. They seem to be glued together at this point in time. Pumpkin 22.9. If you can find a couple of attempts for a second, you might be in the same conversation as Perry and Dan. Chris is usually one of the faster ones we see for Pegasus. He needs to find some sort of time here as he goes through the final couple of corners, but he's very much down on this lap and he's going to go again with when his damage clears up. He did actually get damage to his front left. So he now gets to go properly, I guess, at a lap here to see if he can improve on that 23.8. He has to. He realistically has to improve on that 23.8. Owen still without a time. Peachy does a 23.6. That moves him not above Chris, but only above Chris. Bearing in mind, it will be the top 14 drivers from this, top 14 drivers across both lobbies that go into Lobby A. 21.8 is still the fastest time on the board. 21.7 is now the fastest time on the board. It's not much of an improvement by Mahata, but an improvement nonetheless. Half a tenth added to the lead he has over Javi. Here comes Owen to the line. Is there going to be a good time here for the M6 for Aero GT? It's a 22.5. It's good enough for 6th, but he's got to find more time than that. Beaver's on an outlap. Zico and one of the other drivers has just finished up as well. I think Javi was just on an outlap. He's touched the gravel to start. That is not a good start. Let's go and pick up on where Mahata is. We'll go to the end of this sector, see if he's ahead, and then we'll go to the guys trundling toward the line here. He isn't quicker, so we'll figure out who is now coming to the line. It is Chris, 23.5 ahead of Peachy. And it's Peachy to follow up. Is Peachy going to take that position back? He only needs to find a 10th in that Renault. And to the line he goes. Is it better? It is significantly better. It is only still good enough for 11th. These two battling it out at the back at the moment. Then we got a couple of guys giving up their time. Dan's just on an out lap. Perry's going by. Capello is actually on a flying lap, so it's good for Dan to get out the way. Let's have a look to the line now. Mahata into the pits. Then you've got, what, Richard the next one to the line then? Or is he? I don't... there is a car in front. That's Owen, actually, the next one to the line. Let's see if Owen's going to improve. There's an outlap here for Richard. Owen to the line, looking to improve on a 22.5. Doesn't improve on a 22.5. Javi into the pits again. I only got 2 minutes to go. Zico and company are just starting now. Mahata's in the pits. Mahata just came out the pit, sorry. Zico and company. Oh, Zico's round! Zico's round, and that might be a good enough end to his qualifying there. That might be a, well, I say good enough end. That might be an end to his qualifying. Let's see how quick he can get back. Facing the right way. That is disastrous for Zico. You can only imagine everyone around him is going to get quicker. Chris, again, improving. But it's still not enough to take him off the bottom of the grid. He does a 23.4. The next one to the line after that is Peachy. These two seem to be offset from the rest of the grid right now. Peachy, not improving. So it is still just a half attempt between those two. They look almost certain to go into lobby B at the end of this one. Down the line we got now. Who's the closest one to the finishing line? They got Mahata, but I think Mahata's on an outlap. Owen at the moment is going through, but it doesn't look like he's carrying a lot of speed. It could be deception. It could be a deceptive camera angle more than anything else. We'll see if there's any improvements heading Owen's way here. Mahata just started his lap. We'll go to him in a minute. Owen is going to improve to a 22.4 flat, so he is 0.02 of a second ahead of his own teammate in Beaver. That is a very interesting scenario. So we got two Aero GT drivers in the top 5 at the moment. Two Project Platypus in the top 5 as well. Caplaro improves to a 22.6. Mahata's car does not look too stable there in the second sector. Pumpkin did a faster lap than the last one he did. I'm not entirely sure what that was. I think it might have been a 22.6 or something of that nature, or 22.9. Mahata still going with his... We'll see if he's improving at any point. He is. He is 0.06 of a second quicker than his prior time. That'll only take him into the 21.7, roughly about 21.75. And he's again sliding his car. Peachy's done a 23.1, so that's an improvement for him, and he's now set the bar for Chris to find some time. Mahata going to the end of the third. He is a 10th up now. He's now looking towards the 21.6. It is a time that he's going to have, well, he's setting the bar now for Javi, who needs to find 0.2 of a second if this continues on the way it's going. Mahata to the line. It is the final lap for him, so we will be going back on the grid. Let's see, it's a 21.65 to the line for Owen. 22.2. He's into third now. Richard up into fourth. Javi up there is coming toward the line now as well. An improvement for Beaver. 22.3. That's good enough for 6th for him. Caplaro the next one. Is he going to improve? He is. He's up into 5th. And Javi is not improving. So barring a miracle now, it's Mahata's pole. 22.6 for Dan. He's currently beating it out his old team boss even. He is actually going to continue to do that. Pumpkin Patch is off the track. Peachy is coming to the line, and so is Chris, and neither of them are going to pose any sort of threat. So Mahata is going to take the first pole of the season. Zico 22.276 is only good enough for third. And Peachy does not improve. So Mahata, 0.2 of a second to Javi. And then you got Zico in third, so it's a Project Platypus 1-3. And then you've got Owen in fourth. Richard actually showing up for Pegasus, so he might be able to do something in this race if things go his way. Caplaro in 6th is the second of the Arix drivers. And then you got Beaver in 7th, Dan in 8th, so top 3. Well, 3 of Aero GT drivers in the top 8 in Lobby A qualifying here. So it's good news for Aero GT. And honestly, pretty much as expected, that these 3 teams would be fighting amongst each other, just a case of how much they'd be fighting amongst each other. The answer is top 3 in the top 8, 3 in the top 8 for Aero GT, 3 in the top 9 for Project Platypus, and then Arix Peachy. So we will wait and see what the rest of the group is looking like. So what Lobby B is going to be looking like here in a minute or two. Just waiting for the 3-minute timer to count down, because I definitely did not set it to 3 minutes. Ross has enabled slow mode. Not entirely sure why he's done that. But yeah, we're just going through at the moment. Hopefully it's ending. Let's see why it wouldn't be. Yeah, I was about to say, if I was hoping it was ending, that took a long time. But yeah, the Vantage, second place. Javi had got a tune out of it. The top 2, 4 and 6 tenths of a second clear. Can you change your car? No, unfortunately you cannot. You made a mistake. You made a mistake, but kind of just got to stick with it. Yeah, Zico in third, 22-2, 20, literally 2,000 of a second ahead of Owen, who in turns was only 10,000 of a second ahead of Richard. So the battle for third is going to be a very good one because we've got, what, third through 7th. So there's 5 drivers separated by a 10th. Would expect all of that top 7 to be in the next, in Lobby A for this one, that's for certain. I don't think you can get away with saying that in the chat of the thing, Ben. Javi has definitely put together a lap there in the Vantage. It's a very good one for certain. Just waiting on what Ross has found out here. He's doing the grid. We'll figure out whether or not people in lobby are going to Auto's lobby or not in a split second here. Yeah, lol, but no GTR. Yeah, no, that's fair. That's entirely a fair statement. Should be fine more often than not, especially on certain tracks with the gen. Like Tokyo, if you go into Tokyo with a gen, you should be fine, especially down the back straight. It's very much a car that would be suited for that. You got everything you need, Ross? End race so people can sort themselves out. It was 3rd through 7th or 10th apart. Everyone else kind of was a little bit less there. What? Let's have a look. What are we looking at in terms of Lobby A? Auto is in Lobby B, so I am still the host for this one. So we've got Mahata first, Javi second, Ahmed third. Ahmed's putting a lap there for Falcon. Zico fourth, Owen fifth, Richard sixth, Kepler seventh, Alessandro eighth. Ahmed beating Alessandro is an interesting shout. Hollywood in ninth. Okay, so Kavar have figured something out. They've got multiple people in this lobby. Kavar Hollywood is in ninth, Beaver in 10th. Then you've got Itkanen in 11th. Then you've got Dan in 12th, Perry in 13th, and Fluffy Butt in 14th. Which is interesting to say at the very least. Or Beetlejuice Finn, I guess. If he wants to be called that, might just call him Finn at this point, just for ease. The other lobby being Pumpkin Patch on pole, Turbo second, Peachy third, Latari fourth, Auto fifth, Chris sixth, Kaiken in seventh, Eroticos in eighth, Knight in ninth, and MBR picked in 10th. So yeah. Yes, I will swap to race settings real quick here. Everything else should still be the same. That will drop to that. Yeah. Everyone should be set up properly then. Ahmed in third is incredible. Everyone is, so we've got a good race on our hands here. We've got 3 teams different in the first 3. Then you've got Aero in 5th, Pegasus in 6th. So that's 5 different teams in the top 6. The only repeat being Project Platypus. So there is a huge, huge chance for some of these drivers today. I don't know why Fluffy Butt's left. Yeah, that is insane. I understand what Wack was saying about the 10th earlier then. Everyone's just separated by a minuscule amount. That's a certain, from Ahmed down. From Ahmed all the way down to Beaver in 10th. Yeah, everyone else starts to get a little bit separated from there. And of course, that's my mistake. I need to type in a message here. Didn't put set grid on. I sounded so confident when I was doing them a minute ago as well. Yeah, now I'm going to set the grid. Now we have a bunch of people in here. We're just waiting on Fluffy Butt getting back, I think. But until that happens, I'm going to set the grid now. Mahata, Javi, Ahmed. Ahmed is a gen, got 3rd. That's exceptional. Zico. Well, Slim, there's your marker. there is your marker in the gen. You know, Richard 6th, Kepler 7th, Alessandro 8th, Hollywood 9th, Beaver 10th. Yep. Itkanen, Beetlegoose, whatever you want to call him. At this point in 11th, then it's Dan. Then it's Perry, and then it'll be Fluffy Butt who joins us. Should be back. Yeah, currently in 14th. Alright, so that gives us 14. I will then enter into... I will then not enter in. I will just go in, put a start in soon. Give him an extra minute or 2 and then get started. So we currently have the lay of the land while we sort this out. We got 3... Aero GT drivers, 3 Falcon drivers, 3 Project Platypus drivers in this 14, and then you've got 2 Arix, 2 Cavar, which is a one I did not expect to be saying, and then a Pegasus driver. Unless I'm missing someone here. That is an exceptional assortment of drivers that have got into this lobby. Yeah, I think it's about time to get ready to go. One more check on the settings to make sure I'm not an idiot. Because I did everything and then I'm just double checking. And we're starting the race. Let's go. Let's get away here with the race here in Lobby A. Gonna be a massive one. Massive one to start the season. It could be a sign of what's to come. And we got Mahata and Javi on the front row. And we're probably going to be seeing more of this season. Could potentially be the big battle this season. Here we go. 4, 5 red lights. I don't think that cover on the background did well. It's lights out, away we go. And it definitely with a full start in the background with distinct Mahata at the front, who's driving for Project Platypus, and Javi on the outside. Mahata doing enough just about to keep his front lead in this race, and Hamed gets past Javi pretty quickly. A little bit of carnage in the background. Javi got the inside of Ahmed now. Can he get himself in second place back? Yes, he can. And Kepler is up in the fourth. A great start for him. Then you got Dan in fifth, which is not a sentence I thought I'd be saying at the start of this. Owen in sixth, Richard in seventh, Alessandro in eighth. As we continue down, then you got Finn in ninth, Beaver in 10th, Perry in 11th, and then the two Cavar boys in 12th and 13th, with Zico right at the back. So Zico with the big loser out the first couple of corners here in the race. Mahata has already got an entire second advantage, but he is on the soft tyres, and I guess we thought that Javi may have potentially learnt the lesson from Super GT at Road Atlanta last season, but it looks very similar to that at the start of the first race of this season. 2.5 seconds now for Mahata. Mediums on Javi's car, then it's softs for Ahmed. Dan in fourth on soft as well. Mediums for Kepler, so it seems like a team strategy decision here for Arix to be on the medium tyres at the beginning of this race. Owen on the softs as well. Alessandro on softs. Finn on softs. Beaver on softs. Richard on softs. That rounds out the top 10. Softs for Perry, Hollywood, Zico, and mediums for Fluffy, but at the back. So 3 cars on the mediums of the 14. So a little bit of difference in strategy. Someone went majorly wide there. Caplero having a bit of a mare into turn 1. Here comes Owen to the inside. Can he get 5th? Will he get 5th? With the inside line, he should get 5th, and he does get 5th. And it's a good move there, taking advantage of Caplero's mistake. And Aero GT will not be complaining with a 4-5 to start. Albeit they probably want to be a little bit further ahead, but all 3 of the guys in front of those 2 at the moment are on different teams. Ahmed is going against Javi again. It looks to be that split at the moment. Mahata has just driven away. He had no real issues getting off the start. And the difference in tyres has definitely swung this in Project Platypus's favour to start with. Ahmed needs to get by so he can try and charge down the Bulgarian in the lead. But yeah, for now, it looks like Mahata is very much assuming the role that happened at the Road Atlanta last season. Javi is on mediums, everyone else around him is on the soft tyre. Javi is on the mediums, and that's just proved everyone else is on the soft tyre around him. There's 3 drivers on the soft tyres, I believe. Oh, on the medium tyres, sorry. Yeah. Fluffy Butt and the 2 Aero GT drivers. The only ones at the moment. Hollywood and Zico going after each other. A little bit of a fight going on in the foreground. Alessandro and Caplero. It looks like Kep is going to get that one. Kep is going to hold on to 6 for now, but it's not good news for Arix if he's going backwards rather than forwards. And it allows for Aero GT to start building a little bit of a gap in 4th right now. A little bit of a fight going on between Perry and Beaver in the background, and Beaver is in 9th for this stance. Not entirely sure which way they were around beforehand, but Perry had the inside line, didn't take full advantage of that inside line to stop Beaver. And we got a little bit further back, Zico and Hollywood going at it, but Hollywood doing enough himself to hang on. Zico looking to the inside potentially here as well. He definitely made a little bit of a move, a little bit of a tap! And he still hangs on. Hollywood does it well enough to keep the car on the track. He's just keeping himself within range at the moment. And you've got Fluffy at the back needing to figure out something real quick. But he is on the medium tyre compared to the soft of everyone else. Hollywood is still going to hang on against Zico for now. We're just going to focus on this for a minute before we go toward the front again. And there you go. To the inside goes Zico. You knew he had to try eventually, and he gets it. And that puts both the Cavar boys at the back of Lobby A. Perry and Richard. Richard doing surprisingly worse off than I thought he would be in this lobby. Finn also doing a lot better on the counterpoint for that one. Alessandro in 7th, Kepler in 6th, Dan and Owen obviously switching positions not that long ago. Probably for the betterment of the team, if nothing else, as they continue to drive here. Ahmed against Javi once again. Javi is doing enough on those medium tyres to do, well, just to realistically drive a wedge between everyone else and him and, well, Mahata at the front. Mahata's got a 9-second advantage. The would like to say that the Brands Hatch pit lane is not long. It's about a 12-second loss or something like that, maybe a little bit more, if you're lucky. So, quite frankly, it's an interesting strategy here, because Mahat is not far away from having an entire pit lane, pit stop worth of gap here. 23.7 for Javi, 21.6 for Mahat, and you can tell everything is just starting to go now. Kepler and Finn is by, so they're up into 6th and 7th now, and Finn is going to the inside of his own teammate, Alessandro, losing out to Finn there, and it's a pretty good move as they start to build a gap now on the Lexus. Beaver's the next one in line. They've got 5 or 6 cars here ready to pounce on the Lexus of Arix here. Of Kepler in particular, not really getting a lot of the job done here. Zico passed Richard, so Richard dropping down another place. 10 seconds with just pit tires. Yeah, no, not too surprised by that. So it is effectively a pit stop lead already. We got a little bit of a fight going on. I think that's Kepler and Beaver. It is Kepler and Beaver, and Kepler is going to hang on for another couple of corners at the moment. The Lamborghini is just starting to make his way through. Yeah, Mahata has got away, and it is exactly the same as what happened between Javi and Super GT at the start of Road Atlanta. It is identical to that race. Here comes Beaver to the inside of the final corner. Can he make it work? No, he cannot. That's well defended by the Italian in 8th place. There is one Cavar that's just dropped off the back, and Perry is tapped! His unknown driver, and Beaver's dropped 3 positions as a result. And Hollywood is now trying to go around the outside of these two. Hollywood's trying to take advantage. He's definitely got Perry, as Perry drops as he waited for Beaver. So Perry drops to 13th. Hollywood gains a position. Beaver's lost out a couple there as well. Zico and Richard, the big winners. Richard also getting back past Zico in all of that chaos. Ahmed is in 8th. I'm not entirely sure what's happened here. Ahmed's dropped down. Ahmed's lost his entire grip on the front now. Oh, that is not good news. I'm not entirely sure what's happened, but that is awful news for a Falcon. I wish I knew. I've only just seen it at the same time you guys saw it. Ahmed's had an issue of some sort, but it has allowed Aero GT to take up 3rd and 4th position. This is amazing if you're Aero GT at this point in time. This start couldn't have realistically gone much better. And they're right on the back of Javi. Unfortunately for them, Javi's on a medium tire and they're on softs. It is now 12, nearly 13 seconds that split Mahata and Javi at the front of the grid. The tire's not really dying as of yet. Owen trying to force his way past Javi at this point. He needs to get by to try and chunk out the gap between him and Mahata, but it's easier said than done. The Aston Martin is not... Well, the driver in that Aston Martin is no slouch, that's for certain. One of the best drivers ALR has ever seen. He's getting a little bit squirrely there on the exit of turn 4. They head down the hill into the middle of the second, well, into the beginning of the 3rd sector, actually. Owen is still right on the back of the Aston Martin, but again, no way through. And they are just going to be bottlenecked by the Arix driver at this point. In a train, a 3-man train, and this will probably bring Finn into this. Even though Ahmed's had a bit of a mistake, it's still a relatively good day at the office right now. If you are a Falcon Esports driver. Currently occupying 5th, 6th, and 8th. Is not a bad start. We talked about it so much last season. There was Halex's consistency of just getting everyone into a position to score high points. That ended up putting them in a position to fight for the title last season. So there's definitely a viable strategy if you can get all the team into good positions. Owen trying again against Javi, but not succeeding, and it has brought Finn into this. But for now, it is still Project Platypus 1, Arix 2, Aero GT 3 and 4, and then the duo from Falcon Esports 5, 6, and actually take it a triplet and make it 7th as well. Ahmed getting past Zico. Going down, let's see if there's anything actually happening. He's got a decent gap to Zico, and then Zico's got half a second of Richard. Beaver's in here as well, and then Kavar, Perry, and Kepler are also at the back now. Kepler must have had an issue. Well, we were watching Owen and Javi. Kepler must have had an issue as well. He's gone down to 13th from Fluffy, but it's at the rear of the grid on the medium tyres. Okay, so things are getting a little bit interesting now, heating up. Kep went off in this lap. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. So Kep just had an issue on his own then. So Kepler just well, he was holding up a lot of this train here, and then he went off this lap. So last lap now, technically, if we're going by these guys. Oh, that did not look good there for Beaver in the background. He is well wide at turn 1. Oh, Perry is off in the background there. You can see his car wiggle quite drastically there at the exit of 1. And he is not going to enjoy himself now with dirty tyres with Fluffy Butt on the back of him. That is a bad time for Perry to go off and Project Platypus, finding themselves very much in the same hole as Arix at the moment. We still got a 5-6 car train going on here, and Ahmed and Zeke are about to join it as well, so he might be turning that 6 into a 9 or a 10 car train. He also got, I think there's another one on the back as well, of those two. Richard and Beaver as well, for good measure. Hollywood isn't that far back either. We're going down at the moment. We'll see how long it takes for Ahmed to get himself onto the back of the group. Yeah, Javi has just he's bottlenecked the entire lobby. He is leading the train for the entire lobby. But in a way, I guess it's lifelining. It's a lifeline for the entire grid, because quite frankly, all the way down from second, second all the way down, still got a chance of pulling something massive up, and that, I guess that's just incredible for at the moment. Helps Kep as well. Yeah, Kep needs something to get back into this for certain, and Javi is seemingly providing that at the moment. But as you say, the soft not really working in terms of an overtake, which means that Javi, is losing out now. He's lost 1. He might be allowed to lose 2. Here comes Dan to the outside, but no, Dan's going to get replaced here by Finn, who overtakes him. And Finn is now up in the 4th, and we've got a little bit more of a difference here at the front of the grid. Owen has got by. Owen has now got a license to charge, try and attempt to charge down Mahata. As well as see how well he can do that. Here comes Finn trying to go after Javi himself. So one of the drivers have got past Javi. The bottleneck may be open now. A little bit of contact here as Finn is into the pits. And they've come together. Javi, Finn, Zico. All of them have come together. Zico just about survived. I think Beaver's coming to the pits as well. And there's a bit of carnage. There's a bit of carnage here. Into the pit lane on lap 11. On lap 10. It looked like Javi was coming in for his regularly scheduled pit stop. Finn was not expecting it, got caught up. And Zico coming in as well got affected. We saw him bounce off. We don't know how much it affected Beaver, because we got a different camera angle on the way through, so we don't know if he was going to get anything here. Beaver might be the big winner out of all of this. It might be a few positions there, and Javi now has a lot of work to do. I don't really know if that was any fault of his own. I think it was just, I just don't think Finn expected Javi to pit. I could be wrong. They might both be going to pit, but that's seemingly what the scenario is there. I think Zico got bounced off what we saw, Zico got bounced off, which is why I said it. Javi got punched into a wall. I don't know if it helped as much as he thought it did. Zico got jumped by Beaver, so Zico did get affected. Beaver jumped them both. Let's see what the pit stop looking like. Javi and Beaver 1.5. Yeah, there's a lot of everything that just happened there. And yeah, Finn's the one that got screwed massively there. 10 seconds down now. Fluffy Butter's pitted onto softs for good measure. Kepler is now into the pits. I don't know what the hell we just witnessed. Dan is coming out. Dan almost clipping Javi on the exit there, but Javi is out ahead of Dan. So Javi is going to hold for a split second before Dan to the inside. And Dan gets by. So Dan is up in 8th. On track at this point in time. Other people still have to pit. So he's ahead of Javi. Owen also ahead of Javi as well. So second set of softs for these two. Javi is now on a soft as well. Beaver and Zico in behind there. We are not done with this train. Well, it was a race that might have been devoid of any sort of drama through the first 10 laps, and then we get one misjudged pit lane, and everything has been shaken up. That's how quickly racing changes, isn't it? All of a sudden, if you're Falcon outside of Finn, you're loving life. Well, Beaver's got a half-second penalty in the background there. We'll see how well that is affected, how much that's going to play a part on the next lap. Probably should drop him behind Zico, unless Zico has one hell of a bad lap coming up. But we are once again in a 4 or 5 car train. Owen is decisively in the distance now. Perry, Hollywood, Richard, Alessandro, Ahmed and Mahata all still have to pit. Mahata currently has a 23-second advantage over Ahmed, who we know did spin off earlier on in this race. He is having very much a cruise around right now, and it was definitely opened up by Javi's strategy, that's for certain. Javi playing literally train conductor for the entirety of the first portion of this race, the first 10 laps. Ahmed followed by Alessandro, and then Richard behind that. Hollywood is just peering into sight now as we see Perry about 5.5, almost 6 seconds actually, he is now 6 seconds behind Hollywood as he is doing decently well on his debut. Well, debut in Lobby A, shall I say. Definitely not a debut overall, he raced a few times last season, but it's definitely a Lobby A debut for Calvar as a whole. Owen, 3.9 seconds currently off of the back of Perry. Owen's already pit, remember. Mahata is fueling a substantial amount of the way up, so Ahmed will take the lead of the race for now. Mahata is coming out the pits. He's on medium tyres, so he's going to take his long stint here in the second half. Well, in the second stint, and then probably go back on the softer stint 3 if he goes for 3. Mahata sliding a little bit there out of turn 1. But he is still out comfortably ahead of literally anybody else on the grid. It looks like about 10 seconds, maybe 10 and some change, currently splits him and Mahata. Yeah, it's just about 10.5 actually that splits Mahata and Owen, who are technically net P1 and net P2 of this race, with Dan turning into a little bit of a bottleneck now. Oh, it won't be too long if he's going to slide his car like that, but he is doing a decent job at the moment. Javi looking to the inside, potentially going for it now. Maybe a little bit of contact, another little tap as well on the exit. Dan getting a bit too much throttle on the exit as well, so he's lost not 1 but 2. And all of a sudden there goes Javi and Zico on Dan the man. And the Aero GT standing at this point in time just looked a little bit less positive than it did a few corners prior. Owen still looks to be on for a magnificent race though. Taking advantage of everything that happened in the pit lane. He had already got by anyway. Ahmed is now into the pits. And so is Alessandro. So Falcon executing their strategy now. Hollywood into the pits as well. So we get more of a distinct view of where everyone is in the grand scheme of things after the first round of pit stop. The only one who hasn't is Richard, who is still going. Probably could get one more after this. I don't know if he'll test the waters with that. Wait and see. But he is currently a second ahead of Mahata. Mahata probably going to get him on this lap. Mahata 9 seconds pretty much flat to Owen. Bear in mind that Owen is on a soft tyre, Mahata is on a medium tyre. So quite frankly, Owen needs to chalk all that gap away here on this stint. Otherwise, this is game set match for Mahata, provided he doesn't make a mistake. Owen right now, 8.4. He is doing a significantly quicker lap than Mahata, who's currently still in the net lead of this race. We'll see him take the lead of this race in a short while when Richard comes into pit. He is catching Richard at the hole. Medium versus softs, but it's a very one soft. We continue on. Is there a pit stop here for Richard? It looks like there is, but I'm pretty sure that's coming in the pit lane. If not, then he's going to get away with that. If he gets away with that, that's quite an interesting one, because that was a lot of the white line he did take there. It is 8 seconds now between Owen and Mahata. So that was 23.5 versus 22.2. So 1.3 seconds coming off the board there. Owen looking to try and chalk into Mahata's lead. Javi on the soft now as well. We know that Javi's got 2 sets of softs to use. Well, he's essentially going to do soft now and then a soft afterwards. So we don't know if it's 2 or 3 stops potentially happening in this one. But for now, he's doing a good job of executing a decent strategy to get himself probably into second place at the end of the day. Zico getting a little bit slidey there in the GTR on the exit of turn 4. He's not going to really have a good run at Javi down the straight here. As a result, Dan is still there. Beaver in 6th now. Richard is in 7th. Richard's doing a fairly good job to recover at this point in time on softs with half fuel. We know he's got a medium tyre still to go. We know that Caplero does not. Caplero has got, at the very least, 1 set of softs that he'll have to go on to. He started on the medium tyre, obviously. Hollywood there behind, and then you've got Finn in 10th, though. He needs to, well, recover, I guess, from the absolute tragedy that was the pit lane on lap 10. But yeah, Cavar Hollywood is currently in front of him right now. And then you've got Ahmed in 11th, and Alessandro in 12th. There's medium tyres on both of their cars with rather full fuel tanks. So alternate strategy potentially going on right now for Finn. Well, for Ahmed and Alessandro compared to Finn. And then you got Perry in 13th and Fluffy Butt in 14th, who hasn't really recovered from the early mistakes. Needs to find a way back into this. So we go further forward now. Richard's still got a healthy lead over Caplero. He is 5.5 seconds down off of Beaver, who's got Dan the man in front of him now. And then in front of those two is Zico and Javi. And then Owen just peering out of the shot in the background there. In second, 3.7 seconds now up on Javi. And got it down to 6, nearly 6.5 on Mahata. 22.3 on the last up to 23.0, so Mahata's picking up the pace. Owen relatively stayed the same. Let's see where they stand on this one. Mahata is starting to swing the time the opposite direction now. It looks like the window may have been lost. 22.5, 22.9. He did gain 4 attempts, but again, 4 attempts is realistically not enough to realistically do anything here. Ahmed is currently in 11th, but he is on an alternate strategy. He's gone on his medium tyre for his second stint. Same with Alessandro. Finn got caught up with an incident with Javi into the pit lane on lap 10, so his race has kind of been a little bit distorted as a result, but he was flying up to that point. So we'll figure out how everything's going to shape out maybe 20, 30 laps down the line. But right now, what was a good day for Balkan has gone very sour very quickly. We'll see if Finn's going to be able to get past Hollywood as Caplero had done as well. Hollywood is in 9th as it stands. Did soft and then another set of soft, so he's got a medium at the very least attack on at some point in this race. See if there's going to be any sort of that sooner rather than later. Kepler 3 seconds behind him. Richard, who's now 4.5 behind Dan, and he is very much catching up. On the two Aero GT drivers who did switch and let Beaver potentially go after Zico and Javi, who have started building up a gap here. Not realistically a challenge to Owen at the moment, but they are starting to break away from the rest of the pack. Owen, 6.6 off the back of Mahata, and again, it's 3/10 he's gained, but again, it's not really enough to dig in. Mahata should be comfortable from this point onwards. Owen's tyres starting to drop off in the next couple of laps as well. Will help the Bulgarian just consolidate whatever lead he had. It'd be very intriguing getting a replay of everything that happened in that pit lane. That was a lot to absorb in one sitting. That's a certain. Mahata still in the lead, 6-4 now. Again, Owen just chalking out a couple of tenths of a second a lap. He is closing it in, but he isn't closing it in remotely enough. He is 3.7 seconds ahead of Javi. I don't know whether or not that's going to be enough of a gap come the end of this. Given that Javi's got a soft to go on to, Owen's got a medium that he has to go on to at the very least. So there is an offsetting strategy between second and third at the very least. Zico currently trying to hang on to the back of Javi for good measure. He is doing it fairly well at the moment, but is now heading up towards the second mark, about 0.8 of a second. That splits third and fourth on the grid right now. Beaver 2.3 seconds behind after that. His soft stint has not been very proficient here. And then you got Dan in 6th, with Richard closing in there as well, 3.3 seconds now, and then Caplero in 8th, 3 seconds off the back. Hollywood still holding off Finn for now. Ahmed is just starting to settle into the medium, same with Alessandro. I expected a little bit more from Alessandro, honestly, in this one than what we've got, but obviously things haven't quite worked out for Falcon at this point in time. That can still change. It probably will still change quite drastically as we go along here. Fluffy Butt and Perry are buried at the back of the grid. Not entirely sure what happened here, but Mahata is now only 5.4 in front of Owens, so I'm assuming there's a penalty. There's a 23.5 there for Mahata. If it wasn't a penalty, it was a mistake. And another 8, he did chalk off 0.8 of a second in that lap, so maybe Owen still had some in the tank to try and get Mahata within range, as Mahata is definitely sliding his car literally everywhere, every corner now. It is an interesting strategy. It's not a quicker strategy, bearing in mind it is the difference in the tyre offsets at this point in time. There is a medium on the car of Mahata and soft on the car of Owen. But Owen is still gapping Javi at this point in time. 4.0 seconds now. That changed at the exit of 4 and 5. Javi gaining a little bit back. But Mahata losing another 4 tenths. So it isn't a case of it being completely over yet. Owen is still chalking time out. There is still a hope for an Aero GT win here. But when Mahata goes on to softs later on and Owen has to go to mediums, they're going to swing back very quickly. Which is why Owen needed all that gap and then some to be chalked away by the time these stints finished. I don't think he's going to get that. It did look like 23.2 there. It doesn't look like he's chalked a turn. It's only about 0.3 of a second. He is just making minute dents into that lead. As soon as I say that, he just goes drastically wide at turn 1, and Javi is going to close in on Owen for good measure now, and Owen gave all 0.3 of that right back to Mahata, so he's back to where he was beforehand. Zico in 4th, still within a second's range of Javi. That hasn't changed in the last few laps. I think a Beaver in 5th, he's cleared Dan. Dan has now got a very quick Pegasus driver catching to the back of him. We'll see how that battle ensues. That shouldn't be too far away. 1.6 seconds now to get there, and then Kepler is 5 seconds off the back of Richard. And then you got Hollywood and Finn getting back towards 8th place. Ahmed 4.1 seconds behind Finn, so that has effectively stayed the same. And Alessandro roughly the same as well. Everyone in the Falcon team keeping a distance to each other. And Perry 7.5 seconds back now, and then 11.5 seconds ahead of Fluffy, but in last. Let's see if we can find a relative battle to keep an eye out on here. Hollywood is closing in. He has got significantly better tires and a lot more fuel, which means he started distant a lot later than Kepler did. Which means he should start making moves. Kepler may have kicked up a little bit of dirt there. It doesn't look like it's affected him too much as he goes into turn 1. Into turn 1 he goes, still ahead of the Kabar driver. We got a 3-way fight here. Let's see if we can further up. Richard's now within a second of Dan, so this could be an interesting one that's coming up sooner rather than later. Again, better tires on the car chasing. And then going forward, it's still relatively the same kind of outlook through the first 4. Richard now within 0.6 of a second. A lot more pace, a lot more tires than Dan as well. But Dan's got the fuel because Dan has a Lexus. Let's see if there's going to be anything to happen here. Richard still within about that 0.5 of a second mark, so he's not going to gain anything realistically in terms of making a move here. Let's see what's going on further back. It looked like the gaps have actually extended between Kepler and Hollywood, and then Hollywood and Finn in 10th. The gaps relatively, they look like Alessandro is having a day to forget at the moment. He is significantly slower than Ahmed in on the medium tires. Beaver is now into the pits off of the soft tires, so we'll see what the call is there, and that could be a very interesting call to have to make. We'll see where he's going to come out in a second. It looked like he's actually come out just ahead of Alessandro. He has come out just ahead of Alessandro. Bear in mind, Beaver has now pit twice. Onto another set of softs. So Beaver looks to be free-stopping then. So he's gone from softs to softs to softs, because he pitted on lap 10 with the carnage that we saw between Javi and Finn. He's now pitted on lap 23. So he's now going to go probably to somewhere in the region of 36 and then go to the end on a medium tyre. Which is an interesting strategy. He is free-stopping, so we'll see how well that plays out compared to the rest of the grid in a minute. Ahmed is starting to close in on Finn. Finn and Hollywood's relatively maintaining their gaps. Richard has now got himself down within 0.3 of a second as Dan now pits. So, Zico in, Dan in, Javi in, Owen, Mahata and Richard stay out. That puts Richard up in the third for now. Mahata has gained a significant amount of time. It's now 7 seconds from what was 5, and that is definitely game for this race, unless Mahata makes a mistake. You don't really see a way back into this now. Being very much calm and collected at the front. The strategy has helped him quite significantly. In terms of Javi starting on mediums, him starting on softs, and for the second season running, the first race bears the same resemblance. And the entire resemblance is questioning whether or not that medium tyre to start on was a good call. It does not look like it when you've got a driver of Mahata's capabilities, and he is looking the part. He doesn't look unbeatable in any way, though. That's for certain. It's going to be relatively fun going back and forth, I think, the entire season here with Mahata and Javi. Owen now into the pits. Richard staying out again, obviously. He's not done his stint, not even close yet. Got another few laps to go. And then you've got Hollywood is currently in fourth. Kepler into the pits as well for good measure. Owen now onto his medium tyres. Out comes Zico, out comes Javi. Well, I'd say that round comes Zico and round comes Javi. As out comes Owen, and he's beaten them both out, as we expected. But bearing in mind he's on medium tyres compared to a double soft behind him now. So he's got defending to do here, Owen. He's got to be the cork in the bottle again, much like Javi was earlier. He's got to defend for his life because he's doing what seemingly looks like a relatively small medium stint here. So a 3-stop going for Owen as well. He's done soft to medium at this point in time, with Zico now bearing down on him. It looked like Zico was looking to the inside there at the end of the second sector, but won't go for it now, but will potentially at the start of the third. On the inside, gets him. Had to be bold, gets a decent move. It's not usually an overtaking corner. He is ahead of Owen. Zico is now ahead of Owen in this race. And things in the fight for second have just got all the more interesting. You can see the second, you'll always see the second, the 2 and 3 stop strategy conversation of Brands, because Brands is such a short pit lane. It's very, very intriguing to see whether or not what people are figuring out here. Owen's under a little bit of pressure again, this time from Javi. He was under pressure from Zico. Zico is driven away. It's not good news for Javi that Zico is driven away, though, because Javi was trying to chase Zico down. And the worst case scenario for Arix and Aero GT is a 1-2 for Project Platypus. Here comes Javi looking to the inside of Owen. Doesn't get it. Owen holds on. Owen looking to be a little bit... well, he's got to defend for his life at this point. Wait and see if there's going to be any sort of differences at this point in time. You know that Zico will eventually fade. So will Javi. Owen has got to survive till then. And you got Hollywood in front of this. They're both on soft tyres. Zico has a lot more speed and a lot more pace and a lot fresher tyres for good measure. And I can't imagine this lasting too long at all in the slightest. Owen behind here. There's Zico and Hollywood that we're looking at. Hollywood looking to the inside to defend. He defended well of Zico there. But it doesn't look like he's got a good exit. Here he goes. Zico and Hollywood's clipped a little bit of grass. It's just going to be the number for Zico to the inside. Brakes significantly later, and it was never really a question of any sort of ponderance there. That was just as easy as they come there for Zico, using an advantage in the tyres as Owen and Javi are going at it behind. Owen looking to hold on. Javi now going to the inside of 3, and they've come together, but Owen has survived, and Javi might be about to let him back through. We'll wait and see. He is going to let him back through. The contact between the two, all that's done is just open the gap to Zico. Here comes Javi again. Owen moves over to the inside, almost squeezes him off the track. And now he's looking to the inside. Comes Javi. They're still side by side, but this time Javi is in a much better position to get it done and doesn't make the same mistake twice. And Javi is now ahead of Owen, and Owen on the medium tyres is just falling backwards. Javi had the pace to defend. Owen does not. And now Owen has to be careful, because Owen, having made his 2 stops right now, is right in front of Ahmed, who in turns, I'm not entirely sure if he, I think he's 2-stopping for the course of the race. Owen is 3-stopping, so it's going to be very interesting right now. Ahmed is definitely a threat. He's definitely a threat to Owen at this point in time, but I don't think either of them are looking potentially a threat to the podium. That might be all squared off already. Alright, let's see what else is happening. So Beaver is right on the back of Ahmed now as well. Let's have a look further back. Fluffy Butt and then Finn. Perry is there as well. He's currently on his medium stint, still on the second stint of his race. Beetle is on his third stint of the race now, onto medium tyres. So very much mirroring Owen at this point, just a couple of laps later. Unless he plans to go to the end from here, but he could do with that fuel tank. Wait and see. Still 23 to go. And you got Kepler, who's 1.9 ahead of Dan, who's on medium tyres now. Alessandro in front of that. Beaver and Ahmed are going to go at it. Beaver's on soft. Richard now into the pits. He's done a very good job today so far, up to this point. Let's see. Is Beaver going to make a move on Ahmed? Because he's then got Owen in front of him. And the strategies are just all over the place at the moment. It's almost impossible to tell who is who where in terms of net position. Beaver doesn't get it. Ahmed does well enough to defend. Beaver goes extremely wide on the entrance, but it looked like it's given him a little bit of a better run into turn 2. And Beaver now on the outside of 3. Ahmed doing an exceptional job of defending, and he's going to pull it off again. This time through 3. He's going to survive against Beaver here. Or is he? Beaver to the inside. Beaver to the inside. They're still side by side going up the hill. Ahmed slid. Someone ban him. Someone ban him, please. It's in the YouTube chat. God damn it. But yeah. We're going through. Let's go back to what is what is actually happening in the race right now. 25 seconds up on Zico. That is a massive gap. Massive gap. Then you got Javi 5 seconds off the back of Zico. Zico has just waltzed off into the distance now. And yeah, Owen is 2.5 seconds off the back of Javi as well. And then you got Beaver in 5th, Ahmed in 6th. And just going down the list now. Ahmed in 6th, then you got Alessandro in 7th. He's got Richard and Kepler behind him now. Get back to proper commentary. Is there going to be any moves realistically happening here? Richard went on to another set of softs, so it indicates a free for him. It indicates a free stop for him. Alessandro on the mediums, obviously. On the inside, Richard with a little bit of a tap. That's probably a push to pass there. Alessandro's going to lose multiple positions as a result. Richard laid a little bit in. Kepler gets in front as well. And Alessandro drops to 9th. Thank you, Tap. Appreciate that. And Dan's now in 10th, Perry in 11th, Hollywood in 12th, but we know he's on a little bit of a split strategy with everyone else. He's still fighting with Finn as they go through this race, and then Fluffy Butt has realistically never recovered from the start. There's a yellow flag. Oh, it's Perry! It's Perry who's round! Oh, and the Project Platypus driver has gone from bad to worse as he will drop behind the 2 drivers there. Hollywood and Finn go by. And once again, Perry is buried toward the back. A really bad day at the office for Perry here. So a massive fight here between Hollywood and Finn. This has been fairly entertaining between these two. Let's see, it will go forward in a split second to see if anything happened. Finn dropped a little bit there off the back of Hollywood. Let's see if anything happened in the fight between... Oh, they're all the way up onto the back of Ahmed now. Richard still defending well from Kepler. New soft for one, fairly new soft for the other. Maybe like 75% left on the tyre here for Kepler, where Richard is entirely new. As we go through, Kepler and Richard heading down on Ahmed, trying to get the two-stop to work. Beaver's 4 seconds up the road. He's in 5th. Owen's in 4th. Beaver is catching Owen quite rapidly, but Owen is on a medium tyre. Beaver is on a soft tyre, so medium's going on at the end, I think, for Beaver. Javi is 4 seconds clear of Owen now, so the kind of gap has just very much swung back in Narek's favour. But once again, Zico and Zico's in 2nd, and that makes it a 1-2 as it stands for Project Platypus. Mahata absolutely cleared, never really looked back after the first couple of laps. He built the 10-second gap really early. Hey, he's only doing it now. But yeah, 1-2 as it stands for Project Platypus would be a very good day at the office, even if Perry is having a really bad one. Let's see if we've got any sort of battles. Owen and Beaver are starting to catch up to each other. Richard got past Ahmed. So Richard is up at a 6. He's now going to try and use this as a bridge to build some sort of a gap on Kepler. He has to. Because he is looking at a potential of 6th place here, which would be a really good run for Richard. By all means, would be a really good start to his season. He can only improve from there. And Ahmed is doing enough of a number right now to hang on to his position against Kepler. And this is great news for Richard, who needs to build a gap. Then you got Alessandro in the background there, who's realistically hoping that two stops going to come back to him later on, because it really isn't right now. And here we go, Kepler on Ahmed. Is he going again? Is he going to be able to get this again? No, he isn't. Ahmed is doing a real number on Kepler right now. He's doing a really good job of holding him off on that medium tyre compared to the soft. You know it's coming eventually. You just know that at some point Kepler should get past Ahmed, but if Ahmed can survive until the softs start dropping off, he might be in big time. Richard has started to clear, 2.3 seconds ahead of Ahmed, so he has got a gap on Kepler. So, Pegasus will be really, really happy with that, that's for certain. Looking down the list, Ahmed is still defending for his life right now. Alessandro is starting to make some sort of inroads by the looks of things. Hollywood and Finn are still battling it out at the back here. 11th and 12th. On the grid, Perry and Fluffy, but are essentially non-factors for the rest of this. Dan in 10th, his race seems to have fallen off a cliff a little bit. From the start, he got an absolute electric start, just couldn't keep up. Let's see if he's got anything left up his sleeve, as finally Kepler finally gets past Ahmed. Kepler finally getting past Ahmed here into 7th. So Ahmed did not survive until the softs dropped off. So he's going to have a little bit of work to do. Kepler 3.5 tenths up now. There is still a potential that Ahmed gets him back if there's a mistake in this for the RX driver. But Richard has well and truly driven off into the foreground, 3.5 seconds up the road now. You know, Beaver and Owen far further up. And then, obviously your front three, who will need to figure everything out later on. But Mahata looked rather comfortable through 36. Let's see if there's going to be anything here. It doesn't look like it. Kepler started to build a gap now from Ahmed. So we're going to go a little bit further forward. Owen has been overtaken by Beaver. Maybe a team sort of move here. Sort one on soft, one on mediums. It wouldn't make sense to just let the one on the softs have a go at this. But it does look like the longer we go, the more it's not going to be better than a 4-5 here for Aero GT. Which means they probably need Javi to start looking towards splitting Zico and Maha. Because right now I think 1-2 would be a substantial lead of the championship coming into week 2. In comes Beaver. So Beaver now off of his soft tyres, got 16 to the end. I called it 36, was when he was coming in. So he's got 16 to the end now. Richard staying out, obviously. Not long since went on to a soft tyre. Owen still going right now. Richard is trying to catch him up. Richard getting past Owen could be potentially massive. And also Javi closing in on Zico. Yeah, and as BX just pointed out, soft versus mediums on the last stint. Zico already wearing out the tyre. This might be going back to Javi. This might definitely be going back to Javi, actually. Second place is definitely Javi's to lose at this point in time. Zico is probably coming in at the end of this lap. I can't imagine him not. Mahata now off the softs as he's 2-stopping this instead of the 3-stop we've seen some of the other drivers do. And quite frankly, he could 4 or 5-stop this and still win. I can't imagine Zico not coming in with that tyre on the front left. This has to be pit stop level. And it is, yeah. Zico is coming into pit. He's done it well enough that he hasn't hit a wall. So, no more pit lane drama by the looks of things. As we continue on here. Mahata comes out ahead of Javi. 7.5 seconds is the current gap between Javi and Mahata. Good luck. You're going to need it. Especially that Mahata's on a soft tyre to end this race. You're going to need it. Ahmed now off his medium tyres. Javi has a 7-second advantage over Owen. That's realistically not going to change. They're both going on to soft tyres at the end of this one, unless Owen is going to the end from here, which is not likely with that fuel gauge at this point in time. Richard, I think, has to go onto mediums as well, so he will be in a fairly similar position to Zico when it's all said and done. He is still 3.5 seconds ahead of Kepler right now. Kepler can't be too far away from making his final stop onto, I assume, a final set of softs. Dan up in the 7th right now. He's not doing too bad. Could be worse. Let's go down. Let's see if we can find a proper battle. We've got Ahmed versus Hollywood. So that is a medium versus a soft. This should be fairly straightforward. Javi now into the pits. Alright, so we get a proper look now at where he is against Zico and where he is against Mahata. Mahata should be the upside of 20 seconds clear. Shouldn't be too much that he has any difficulties with here. He should win this one fairly comfortably. Here comes Ahmed to the inside against Hollywood. Can he get it? Will he get it? Dan's off the mediums now, and Ahmed has got by on Hollywood. So Ahmed is up in the 9th, about to jump up in the 8th because Dan is now on to his final stint. So Ahmed is up in the 8th, 6 seconds behind Beaver. You got Richard and Capello still need a pit. Javi is 1.2 seconds behind Zico, and it's mediums versus soft. So good luck. You're going to need it, Zico, because second place is not within your reach at this point. Not unless Javi decides that it's going to be. The second place is very much going to be down to Javi more than it's down to Zico, that's for sure. It doesn't look too good if you're going to keep going wide like that. Owen 4.6 seconds off the back. So Owen being on softs now, there is a potential that he steals one off of Zico. Steal the podium. He's going to have a really good final stint here. There is a very good, well, there is a small chance anyway, that he might be able to slip and sneak one. Beaver's probably going to set up almost certainly in 5th as a result. Alright, here we go. In comes Kepler into the pits now. So he's coming off of his tyres onto the final one. Let's see if Beaver's going to get by him, actually, on this one. That's what I'm interested in. Beaver, comfortably. Okay, so he's comfortably ahead of Kepler. He is on mediums to end, though. Softs with Kepler. So, whilst I say he's comfortably ahead, I don't think that's a big enough gap, realistically, to hold off a very quick Italian coming through in an RX car. It would be a case of saving what has looked like a particularly miserable day at the office for RX in this one so far. Javi still looking very much on point for second. That hasn't, well, it has been in doubt for the last few laps actually, but with the tyres offsets, Javi shouldn't have too much of an issue on getting that second place. Mahata is definitely one. Zico will be probably third unless Owen can figure something out and figure it out quickly. Let's see, Zico is just gaining advantage, just losing the advantage, sorry. Just outside of a second now. It sounded like someone's tyres just went a little bit heavy to the outside there of turn one, and it was, because it was Zico's, who's just starting to struggle. Well, he's struggling to start on those medium tyres. He has to start the stint, not the end of it. Zico's sliding all over the place at this point in time. Javi is getting a lot closer. It was a second at the start of the lap. It's already 0.6 of a second. We're not even in to Sector 2 yet. We've just gone into, well, just out of Sector 2, sorry. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's out of Sector 2. I've been getting the sectors wrong all day. I keep forgetting that Brands Hatch, for no particular reason, has 5. Yeah, I don't understand. I've never understood why Brands Hatch has 5 different sectors. Never really understood that one. But yeah, Zico is still ahead of Javi right now. It's 0.5 of a second. That gap has halved since the beginning of the lap, and it might be coming down a little bit more if Zico keeps touching the grass as he does. You would expect it to be a question of if when, not if, for Javi getting by Zico. That would pretty much hand Javi a second place, as long as he can create enough of a gap as a result. Even if it comes to a question of whether or not Owen can get himself involved. We see him in the background of the picture there, but that probably insinuates he's got like 4-ish seconds. Yeah, I'd about to say 4 seconds off the back of Javi, which means he's about 4.5 seconds off the back of Zico, and that's the big gap we're looking at. We could still have a podium of 3 different teams coming into this one. Javi again, just getting better, and Zico has slid the car, and Zico lost control off turn 4, and that will hand Javi that position without much of a trouble at all, and Javi will go up into net P2 of this race. Richard still has to pit onto a medium tyre, and I can understand fully why he is waiting as long as he is to go onto a medium tyre. I assume it's his final tyre here. And if that is the case, then it looks like we'd be looking at a top, well, the podium being what it is. Oh, Zico again losing it. It might open up Owen here. We had the opportunity earlier to kind of figure out whether or not Owen might be called into this one. But Zico's made 2 gigantic errors and gave up at least a second of time on this last lap, and that might just bring Owen into this. Into a podium anyway. Richard now onto a medium tyre, as expected. He's got 10 laps left of the race. He actually is going to beat Beaver out. He's on the same tyre as Beaver as well, and Richard might have pulled a blinder. Richard may have just pulled a strategic blinder here. It might just give him a top 5 place. Okay, this could have the potential to be extremely interesting here. Pegasus may have just earned themselves at least 2 more positions as a result of this call. Beaver and Kepler was definitely in and around, if not in front of Richard, at the start of all this mess. So Richard has definitely got himself in a good position. He is in control of 5th now. The destiny is his. Beaver's looking like he's about to lose it to Kepler, and then that's the bigger fight realistically through the last 9-ish laps. Kepler not able to get by Beaver on the exit into the final sector. Ahmed is also involved here now. I'm not sure if Alessandro can say the same. It started exceptionally well for Falcon. It's just dropped off quite drastically with the pit lane issue. That's a certain. Kepler is still behind Beaver. He's still behind him. It's about a 10th. Maybe goes now. No, he doesn't. He chooses not to. And Beaver's going to hang on a little bit further. This is great news for Richard. It's actually pretty good news for Ahmed behind as well. Richard is 2.1 seconds behind Beaver. Beaver has a Italian all over the back of him. Here comes Kepler. Can he get to the inside? Beaver's got the outside line. Kepler with the inside line. Who's going to get the better exit? The answer is the Lexus. And the answer is the RX driver. Kepler up in the 6th. And here comes Ahmed for good measure. Ahmed to the inside. Might be going might be able to strike while the iron is hot, but doesn't go for it at the end of Sector 3. So Ahmed now needs to get by Beaver and get himself an opportunity at Kepler. That is a possibility with 8-ish to go. Alessandro's 6 seconds off the back. So Alessandro's not going to really be doing anything. Hollywood has managed to hold Finn and Dan back since the dawn of time, apparently. Dan is not in the top 10 right now. Hollywood will score... well, not only is he one of the 2 first drivers for Kavar in Lobby A since they joined the league, it will be their first Lobby A top 10. As a result, it would be a pretty good day at the office than compared to normal for Kavar. We'll see if they can hang on to that. Beaver's still ahead of Ahmed, using Kepler as a bit of a helping hand right now. Kepler 1.9 behind Richard. Richard still had the opportunity if he can hold on. Beaver's got a bit deep, very deep in fact, and that will allow for Ahmed to have a run. The real question is he going to get by? He should do. He's got a better car in a straight line and on a soft tyre, but he isn't going to be able to, and he is stuck. He's stuck behind Beaver, and Beaver hangs on. Kepler is caught up quite drastically here to Richard in the last lap, and takes it up another 0.3 of a second. And Owen is now 2.2 behind Zico, so there is definitely a chance at a podium here for Owen, available if he can take it. If he can reach out and grab it with 2 hands, this is definitely doable. Javi's still 1.3 ahead of Zico. That gap not really built that much in the last couple of laps. And it's a 31-second advantage for Mahata, who made the right strategy call. He just did. He got it right to start. Started on the softs. Javi started on the mediums, and that was game over. It was not one to come back from at that point. And, yeah, it ended up handing Mahata a fairly easy win. It's now 2 seconds flat for Owen. Another half second chalked out the time. Owen's got a chance at a podium if he can take it. He needs to keep the times up. He's about to hit it, well, not quite, hitting half of his tyres, and that's usually the drop-off, so he's got to make it count while he can. It's now 0.7 of a second taken out on this lap alone. Richard getting absolutely chalked down now. Hunted down by Kepler, as Kepler is going to steal the top 5 here. 2 RX drivers in the top 5 is going to be a significantly better day than what it looked like 20 minutes ago, that's for certain. Kepler with a good recovery, Zico with a good recovery. They're both coming into the top 5. Unless there's some real way that Richard can hang on for dear life with the last 6 or 7 to go. Kepler, his softs don't look like dropping off anytime soon. It might happen toward the end, and I guess that's what Richard's only hope is now. Ahmed still stuck behind Beaver. It's still not happening here for Ahmed. His mistake earlier was seemingly a lot more costly than the rest of them, that's for certain. Alessandro also not got going today whatsoever. Not compared to what we usually see on him on a Monday. He's usually fairly decent, or pops in with at least good one-lap pace. Was expecting a bit better than what he's given today. But he's still there. He's still ninth. Hollywood overtaken by Dan in the end, so Dan's gonna prevent the Cavar top 10. Finn, Perry, and Fluffy but are pretty much rooted to where they are, unless there's a mistake in the background here. Same goes for 9, 10, and 11. 8, 9, and 10 now, sorry. Unless Beaver is going to let up, because Ahmed looks like he's not really making any inroads. And he is definitely running out of time. Richard still hanging on, by the way. He's still around a second. He's to tick the clock down one lap further. Again, all he needs is just to hang on for long enough that those softs start dropping off in terms of pace, and he might be able to steal out a top 5 here. Owen 1.9 behind Zico. He's not really making any inroads either. If anything, Zico's starting to gain back. He's also gaining back on Javi. Maybe, just maybe, those mediums are starting to come back to him now. He's definitely a lot quicker than Owen. Owen 2.3. Owen ran out of time, realistically, on that soft tyre to make it work for a podium. He's going to have to settle for 4th. The real question now is, does Zico... Well, is Javi's tyres going to last long enough? And Zico, as soon as they start praising him, slides his car. Didn't lose an awful lot of time as a result, though. Lost more to Owen than he did to Javi. It's incredible. Also, Richard is gaining on Kepler. It's just up to 1.1 now. He's doing enough to keep Kepler at bay, and this is exceptional news for Pegasus. They don't usually get a strong start. A top 5 would be by far and away. A Lobby A top 5 would be by far and away the best start they've ever had to a season. Beaver is still under fire from Ahmed. It's just a lack of overtaking happening right now. The softs are starting to realistically drop off on multiple cars. They've got to get it done, and if they can get it done, it's got to be relatively soon at this point. Ahmed is getting a lot closer than he was prior. Alessandro is still very much in no man's land. Everyone else, again, pretty much in the same position. Hollywood's in the same... Well, yeah, everyone's got far too much time between them all the way up to 9th. Beaver and Ahmed, as soon as I switched away, Ahmed finally gets by. Beaver looks like he went deep again. Beaver giving up the position. Beaver's dropped 8th. Ahmed gets him eventually. He is far too far away from Kepler at this point. He's going to be routed to 7th now as Ahmed, so after his mistake earlier, he's done a decent job to recover, but again, not that good of a day at the office for Falcon. They probably would have expected a little bit better after that qualifying. And yeah, Richard still hanging on against Kepler, and the time is ticking away. It is continuously ticking down. And he can now see a big 5-0 on the lap counter. He now knows there's 3 laps separating him and a top 5. Would be a really big day. A really big step forward compared to normal here for Pegasus. There's blue flags everywhere, and I believe that's Fluffy Butt. Kepler is starting to close in. He's just got to wane out the clock here. No errors for the last couple of laps. That's all it's got to be here for Richard, and he can do it. He can hang on against Kepler, but as of right now, it is not looking likely. Yeah, it's Fluffy Butt in front with the blue flags. Let's see what's going on here. Still 0.5 of a second. It's still going on. It's still Richards to lose, I guess, at the moment. Kepler has been close the entire time, but he hasn't been able to make a move. So Richard, at this point in time, is looking like he's going to be able to tick this clock away. He is on the back of Javi, but we're currently looking at this. Yeah, he's 0.6 of a second. So he will continue to flick back and forth between the two, but I don't think Zico's going to realistically do enough of a number on Javi at this point in time. Wait and see. Hopefully about getting out of the way. We'll flick to the two at the front on the straight here. We're going to do it. Yeah, we'll go do it now. 0.5 of a second, split the two. Zico's not going anywhere near enough of a good enough exit. And Javi gains a 1/10 of a second out right off the exit of 4. And Javi will survive this one. And again, as I said before, it's just a case of ticking down the clock. Javi's going to do this pretty much perfectly, I reckon, here. Zico's just got one too many mistakes in him at this point in time. Richard still hanging on against Kepler for good measure. Those two going after each other. And it's 0.5 of a second split in here. Richard very much sees the end line in sight. He might have got a bit too deep there. Kepler definitely went too deep. And he's gained a 10th back. Richard is surviving. He is doing everything he possibly can right now to survive against Kepler, and he's doing it well. But right now, Javi is not doing that. Here comes Zico to the inside, potentially for a last lap move into turn 1. Will he get it? No, he won't. He's running out of corners. Javi's doing just about enough to hang on for dear life. He's not going for it into 2. He's now got the outside line through 3. And he slid the car on the exit of 2. And once again, is not going to be able to make anything happen through 3. And once again, this is just all Javi to lose because Zico is just making too many mistakes. 0.3 of a second. Zico needs a perfect corner. This is realistically the last chance. As he goes up the corner, he is not going to gain time on the exit of the corner, but he hasn't lost the significant amount that he did on the prior lap. Zico down towards the end of 3. He gets the end of sector 3. He's still 0.5 back. Richard is still ahead of Kepler for good measure. Mahara has finally... Well, Mahara's won the race by a country mile. He got away, made the right strategy call. And with the help of Javi on the medium tyres, he never looked back. Zico and Javi are still fighting out. It's a comfortable win in the end for Mahara, who wins for Project Platypus here at Brands Hatch. But we still have a fight for second. It's a hammer and tongue fight for second. Zico just not making any move, not going for anything. And Javi is going to hang on. Javi is going to hang on here. Mahara wins. Javi's going to get second. Zico's going to get third. And it's a double podium here for Project Platypus. Owen will get fourth. And it looks like Richard as well has hung on. He has hung on here against Kepler. It's exceptional defending from Richard in the last 5 laps. It's a good top 5 there for Pegasus to start off. Kepler gets 6th. Ahmed gets 7th. Beaver gets 8th. Alessandro will get 9th. Dan the Man will get 10th. It looks like Hollywood will get 11th. He's been denied Cavar's first top 10 in Lobby A as a result of Dan getting by. And they got Finn in 12th. It's a bad day for Fluffy Butt, who've been lap 10 in 14th. Finn ends 12th and Perry ends 13th. But at the end of the day, it's comfortable. It's quite frankly as dominating of a win as you will ever get. And it mirrors the first race of last season to a T. Completely mirrors the first race of last season to a T. The winner, the guy on pole, starts on the softs. Javi in second starts on the mediums and doesn't get a good enough start to hold back the guy on the softs, and the guy on the softs just drives off away. It was Super GT last season. It's Mahata this season. So, again, Mahata winning quite comfortably. Then you got Javi and Zico. A good day at the office for Project Platypus if you don't count Perry's result. Owen gets 4th. Richard gets 5th. Pegasus is going to be massively happy with that. Kepler gets 6th. 2 in the top 6 for Arix. Is a good day at the office for them. It's not too damaging compared to the double podium on Project Platypus. Ahmed gets 7th on what could have been a day of what could have been for Falcon Esports in the end. It started exceptionally well. It drifted off very quickly after lap 10. Beaver gets 8th. Alessandro 9th. Dan 10th. Hollywood 11th, Beetle in 12th, Perry in 13th, and Fluffy Butt in 14th. And that brings us to a close. Just going through now. Let's see if Ross has got himself a got us up a standings yet. We'll just put that up just in case he's switched on the watch. It looked like a couple of it looked like Lobby B had an interesting. I'm saying what contact. Okay, guess that's the. It's a very interesting scenario at the end of the day. Everything just kind of weaved its way in and out. Everyone had just different strategies, different ideas, different times of when they're going to do their strategies. And for some it worked, for some it didn't. Javi, it definitely did not work. I don't know why he keeps going to the mediums to start a season against someone he believes is significantly quicker and didn't learn his lesson from the first race against Super GT last season. And basically has an identical race to that race at Road Atlanta in Season 2. But yeah, we're just looking. I'm just trying to see if there's any sort of standings being posted yet. I don't think they have up to this point. But yeah, all right. On that note, I think that's everything we have for you today. Lobby A, absolutely incredible race. There was a lot of overtakes, a lot of close fighting just up and down the grid. But at the end of the day, the mistakes cost people, and consistency reigns supreme. Your game froze. Ouch. But yeah, at the end of the day, we will get to. I will see you guys next week, same time, same place. This time, let's have a look. Where are we at? We're at Dragon Trail. I believe that is Seaside, and if that is Seaside, it's Dashicade weekend next week. Oh, this could get very interesting very quickly. I don't even have the space. It doesn't even give me the option to reset to save the replay. But yeah, it's Dashicade week. Let's get out next week, boys. Until then, I'll see you later.